Thank you very much there, Leaf. And here we go there. It's FaZe versus G2 to see who's going to move on. And Cole, I want to speak to you about something real quick because we've had an opportunity for the longest time to sort of listen in to how the NA talent have talked about G2 for the last year and a half. Does this come across to you, from what we just heard, as the most confident the North American talent have been in G2 in quite some time? Like, they sound like they actually expect things from this team now, when it used to just be, oh, surely they're going to do something soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, even before the roster change, when they won events, you were still thinking, yeah, but the next event, they might just completely struggle. But now they have Atomic. As JNaps himself was saying in his interview, they have a backbone. Something they've always lacked, that defensive solidity that just amplifies their attacking prowess. And suddenly they seem supreme. They are up there with NRG right now in North America, but Shogi, FaZe, I mean, they'll be horrified that they're not in that conversation. Atomic will be horrified at missing that one. How is it not 1-0?
I have absolutely no idea. It's a fantastic question, Cole. Yeah, FaZe will be looking to bring... They want to drag G2 into the old G2. They want them to be back into a gunslinging fight between the two squads. Defense left by the wayside. Who has got the best mechanics? Who's got the best offense? G2 will need to maintain that level of composure that they've slowly grown since Atomic became a part of the squad, as Typical brought by himself. Atomic also bullying Typical. Looked for the shot. Oh. It's in. Off Typical. He was getting hit around and then forced to panic.
Yeah, I mean, Atomic couldn't put his open goal away earlier. Chicago says, here's how it's done, mate. Just pinball it off Typical and you get yourself a 1-0 lead for G2. You can't say that it's not been coming. As for FaZe, though, Shogi, you were saying that they'll want to turn this one into an absolute shootout. I mean, both teams have already qualified for the major. I can see exactly that happening in this series. As it starts to develop, you know, it's a long old series. It's a best of 7. I can see them both going for some spicy goals just to try and one-up each other mechanically.
Now, importantly, that #1 seed still up for grabs. We have seen with this format how important it is to get yourself up there in terms of seeding. JNaps gets the setup. Chicago's very close, however. Can't run him for a shot. Gonna be up to Atomic to just hold that midfield line. AJ now looks to try and find a setup. JNaps, though, very, very comfortable the way they're playing. This is the first time now we've got to see FaZe over in offense. First killer not able to take control. He was all the way at the back. G2 doing a great job of just maintaining some level of boost control, and it has left FaZe just a little bit flummoxed as to how they're going to get everyone forward.
This is where G2 would have been expected to roll over somewhat before Atomic came in. When a team like FaZe begins to put pressure up on them, you know, you get players like First Killer styling, busting out the wall dashes. AJ's being set up in Chicago now. They have that solidity, but FaZe will come forward again with typical. JNaps puts it to the side.
Yeah, FaZe cannot afford to just let this one go easily. They need to put some sort of warning out there towards G2, but G2 look to have worked their way out. Chicago misread it, couldn't run on, and that's going to give FaZe a second passage. Set up, First Killer went for the bump, didn't anticipate that he was going to be needed for the shot. And that's the second time now that FaZe might have lost their chance. Now Atomic shot, bottom corner, and First Killer, you're going to need to do better than that to get the ball past him.
Shows you how quickly this new G2 can counter-attack, though. I mean, it's been all FaZe for about a minute and a half. They potentially should have scored if the communications were slightly better, or, I mean, you can see why AJ didn't go as Atomic tries to go for that redirect. But they definitely could have scored earlier on, and then suddenly, G2 snap into life. And now we have a G2 series of pressure. Atomic's coming in up against AJ, and they just look so calm and collected when they're in defense and when they're in attack. And it's going to be so difficult for FaZe to break through that.
Oh, typical. Ends up bumping Chicago once again. The first two players have done a very good job there. Over on FaZe, they're just creating a bit of space, but they need to figure out how they're going to get that third player in. JNaps' shot is just stuffed away. Pass to First Killer. Wanted to try and get it to himself. Don't know how else he was going to be able to play that. It looked like a difficult ball just to maintain some control over. I'll see who's going to go for it. It's typical. First Killer, one or the other. Somebody needs for it. Now off the wall, difficult to read if you're G2. Chicago gets there just in time. Typical's got a little bit. Passes over to First Killer, but First Killer needs to just add a couple more car links upwards if he's going to get there. That's over bottom corner. And AJ, one each.
Any other player, Shogun, you'd be absolutely right. First Killer had no right to go for that. He's backflipping just to keep himself there. Maybe it was a mechanical error that he fixed. Perhaps it was his plan all along. Either way, it's yet another stroke of First Killer genius that sets up AJ for the goal.
And G2, though, will be disappointed. They didn't get pressure on that ball earlier. They had time. They knew what was happening. They just couldn't quite figure out what First Killer was up to. It was almost the fact that First Killer couldn't get to the first ball that threw them off. Now off the backboard, First Killer far too quick, and that takes Atomic out for a while. He's going to turn back around. Size better of it once he sees Typical. Back to one each. And it just took one moment there for FaZe. Right back into this game.
I mean,
Atomic.
You can already see what Atomic brings to the team there. Turning back, putting himself back into position, and eventually getting the pass for JNaps. I feel like any other G2 player, when Atomic was on FaZe's half of the pitch a little bit earlier on, he'd be looking for the bump. But Atomic just brings that balance, and that is what allows JNaps in to score that goal.
Again, just the challenge is not quite getting there quick enough. Both of these teams, you're looking just to try and be a little bit quicker on the draw. Usually if you do see the ball go back corner, you're pretty happy with it. First Killer, though, has to do a little bit of work to get the ball back. Reset over the top of one. You can see the respect for it, though. Atomic doesn't even jump. Instead, leaves it for Chicago. They get the challenge. And that was so difficult for the defender. But now we get the counter-attack. Passed over to AJ. No. Well blocked once again by JNaps. How are they going to get out of here? JNaps looks to go high. That's a good first challenge. Needs the support from Chicago. It forces a FaZe. They've got to go coast to coast if they're to take this. Pick up from AJ to Typical. They've got First Killer down the field. Should they get the ball over to him? First Killer had a thought about getting some bumps. Goes off the backboard and that drops to the floor. G2 survive and pick up game one.
They survive and they defend incredibly well as well. And that is a massive first game for G2 Esports. They have a 95.65% win rate. 5-0 as well, 100% in best of sevens when winning that first game. So once they have the bit between their teeth, they are so difficult to shake off it. I feel like that first game pretty much did exactly what we expected it to do, with G2 having continued pressure and looking a little bit more assured on the field. And then every now and then, FaZe Clan would just snap into life, and suddenly you'd be thinking, are G2 Esports going to be able to hold against them? In the first game, the answer, Shogun, was yes, but we all know that FaZe Clan, when they get going, they've always got more in the tank.
And what scares me is that I think FaZe's offense can click a little bit more. They were struggling for me in that first game. Finding the resources, getting the boost available, that when they did get a chance to break away, they just couldn't quite get all three players involved. So they were getting a little bit of space, half chances, but they do need to get that third player in there, no matter what the reason as for them staying back. If they can do that, if they find the confidence as well to send the house, this could turn into a very, very long series for G2. It's just a case of, can that build-up play get them there?
And can they keep surprising G2 as well? The goal that they got was because First Killer just took everybody out the game with that backflip, which nobody expected. Wait a minute, where's this ball going? Is anybody arriving? AJ tries to defend it, but he can't do it, and Atomic puts it away.
So I'll take a look at AJ here. He's going back. He's only on 20 boosts, so yeah, there's no way he's really getting to this 13 boost. Uses all of it, and the ball just skies over the top of his head. No chance for him to make contact. So 1-0, G2 instantly taking the lead. Making the best use of their shots. And we see Atomic once again. 0 boost, going to stick around for as long as he can, but you can just see how difficult First Killer is. One of the best transition players out there, but left his team in a bit of trouble. Typical, able to just get the ball away. G2 have had the majority of the midfield possession in this series.
And there is, as you mentioned earlier, Shogun, a lot of pressure on this game. There's only 21 points between these two throughout this split. And the first seed is absolutely massive, and G2 are staking their claim.
And again, I just want to look at where the rotation is going. We've got a goalkeeper out. Typical ends up going forward. AJ has to turn around, and just that one demo ruins the communication for FaZe. It is ridiculous how much you have to start second guessing and just double back on yourself once that demo comes through, especially on your goalkeeper.
FaZe live and die by the chaos and by the pressure that they imbibe upon themselves, so that means that when one of them is taken out, it can completely throw them, which G2, they're never afraid to play in front of the ball and go for those demos. But I mean, the fact that G2 have made such good use of their early pressure is what separates this second game from the first one. Chicago gets a very mean-looking bump on First Killer. I'm excited to see FaZe Clan chase for the next 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, this could be maybe a little bit of what FaZe need, a little bit of time where they can just go all out without having to worry, because this game's already beyond them. If this 2-goal lead sustains, they can bring this back. It will swing momentum thoroughly in their favor. Typical on that midfield, charges it down. Not the best landing. Leaves the ball quite simple for Atomic to try and take over, although you don't want to be handing that back over to Typical. Big chance here for FaZe. can't maintain much possession because G2, look how quick these recoveries have been. Player after player dives forward, but they seem to always have another player ready to go next.
Yeah, FaZe Clan have just set that third man back just a little bit further so they can keep the pressure on rather than trying to rush things. It works out in the end, but a bit of chaos from G2.
Yeah, Chicago might have it. That's not great. And yeah, JNaps gets bumped. There's no way he's getting over to that one.
I feel like that
so
one's
hard,
not going
isn't it?
in first killer's montage, Shogi.
No, I don't think it is, but it's probably the most difficult position to play as a defender is from the corner, ball in front of you, heading towards your goal, and you're the one that has to play it. There's nowhere you can take this apart from in front of your own goal.
Yeah, but that's the pressure that FaZe Clan forced, though. You know, you say that it's a horrible position to be in, but that is not by accident. FaZe Clan knew exactly what they were doing, and suddenly this game is alive and well despite the early lead for G2. FaZe Clan playing in confidence as well. You know, they're always looking for these passes, but G2, they just wait their turn, and when they get the attacking intent themselves, they are looking so dangerous. I mean, as ever, Shogun, the question is on FaZe's defense.
No, it's been not the strongest goals that have got past them in this series. It's something that they will want to clean up. They do have plenty of time to do it. Once again, best of 7. Typical. Looks to try and get it to himself. Early challenge from Atomic. I do like what I'm seeing from Atomic's challenges. He's not fully committing, just got a bit of contact on the car and then gave himself the quickest route to land back down.
He lands with 25 boost as well, which means he can get himself right back in the play. Never taken out of it, always involved, doing something, going for bumps, going for demos there. You know, he had no right to go for that ball.
Oh, no!
And do you know what? I'm never going to praise him again. It's completely backfired.
That's, well, that's a self-infield there, Chicago. He goes over the top of JNaps' head, and AJ wonders what the color of the car was that passed it to him.
I mean, you know, if I were to put a positive spin on that, it was well read by AJ. He predicted the missed play, you know.
I appreciate the positivity there, Cole. Well, that's 2-2, and that's a 2-goal lead that has evaporated over towards G2. Atomic tries to find a way out. AJ just covers it well. Off the backboard, who's going to be there first? Off the backboard one more time. First killer tries to just hook the car around. Sets up reciprocal. Difficult to pull off. Couldn't quite get there. But G2 are reeling at the moment. FaZe have taken control of this game. Now it's typical long. Looks to see if he caught Atomic out. I don't think the shot was quite on target, but either way, FaZe now do not trust or respect the defense of G2.
I mean, G2, their boost situation isn't too good. Their rotations are a little bit stretched. Suddenly, FaZe's plays and outplays and demo attempts are really starting to shake them. And this is where FaZe love playing their Rocket League, when they can tell their opponents are playing with fear. Look at them, they're reading everything. Chicago's up early, but it's still read by Typical. It leads to a first killer shot. Chicago, another desperate save. G2 just cannot clear their lines. The passes are only going as far as cars in red. AJ almost connects with that one, but this is FaZe's to lose with 30 seconds left.
That was so crucial as well, to get that extra touch. AJ clears down the far side. Nobody in blue able to just run onto it immediately. Oh, and first killer wiped out. Opportunity for Chicago to get forward. JNaps over.
No way.
Nobody back. And a little bit of ball chasing leads to the third goal for G2.
A little bit of ball chasing, but also an absolute wonder bump. FaZe had all the control until one bump comes out, a mid-air bump as well, one of my favorite things in Rocket League. Suddenly, 18 seconds left. G2 on the cusp of 2-0.
Well, this has been a roller coaster of a game. JJ might add a little bit more to it. Underneath the car of Atomic, he's still on the fast side. Should Typical be able to get the ball over to him. They look for the pinch, couldn't get it.
No boost. He's got nothing.
Yeah, that no boost means that JNaps can just plow through the challenge. And once again, FaZe have got it all to do. The entire length of the pitch. Back to Typical. Challenge is good from Atomic. And G2 once again survive.
Survive is the key word, but for the first half of that game, you weren't thinking that G2 needed to survive. You were thinking that they were going to go on and win this game 3 or 4-0. FaZe Clan just looked completely out of it until one old school, shall we say, piece of G2 defense. We haven't seen it in a little while, showing that their defensive issues aren't completely fixed just by having Atomic on the pitch. But you got to say, Shogi, credit to FaZe Clan at how they came back in to that second game.
FaZe looked really good. I said earlier on that if they can get those 2 goals back, FaZe will probably show a different side to themselves. And they did look confident. They looked like they were going for everything. But again, it was just that rotation gets out of sorts on occasion from them, where they just don't have the right people turning up to the play at the right time. And that is what ended up costing them for that 3rd goal over towards G2. So half the job done now for G2. We head over to DFH Stadium, see where we go from here, and see who can really use that last minute to figure out where things have gone wrong, where things have been going right, and what they can capitalize on from the other team.
And this could be a clean touch for a FaZe player, could it? No, it's all the way back. Was AJ. You rarely see that from him, just being completely pinned back in his own half when there's a chance to attack the ball. I mean, it's going to be such a difficult task right here for FaZe, because they are playing against the team that won the last event. G2 with absolute confidence in their lives. They're loving playing with their new teammate. Not so new anymore, but, you know, they're new this split teammate, Atomic. And they're also on a 12-game win streak, which goes back... Oh, what a touch that is from First Killer. But goes back all the way to the finals in the 2nd regional. This is the team that have not tasted defeat in a single game yet in this event. And now suddenly FaZe need to get 4 pretty much in a row. You know, it's such a difficult task.
Well, NA was pretty much allergic to best of 7 reverse sweeps. Then in the last regional, we got, well, quite a few of them. So maybe, but if you are a FaZe Clan fan, that is the last thing you want to be trying to rely on. There's Atomic off that backboard once again. Easy enough for AJ. Now once again off the wall. Good setup play actually from G2 there. Not forcing it too far on the opposite side of the field, so they're getting these first bits of contact without really leaving the option open for FaZe to come in for an early challenge.
Ooh, that's a good boost grab there from First Killer. He needed that one, and it spawned right in front of him, and suddenly he can get himself involved in this play again, which is how he's going to come away with this one. Is the pass there for him this time? That final ball from FaZe Clan hasn't quite been there, but obviously, as always, First Killer is the man that's looking like he could pick that lock.
Oh, what a setup. Who's there first? Oh. What a contact there from AJ. How has he recovered that? Now he goes to the opposite side of the field. It would be so good if he was able to get the counter-attack goal. Couldn't get it this time around. But AJ, that is the reason why you don't just let your car flop through the air. Reposition it and make sure you get that ball away.
Oh, it's still so tricky, though, when G2 do come forward. FaZe looks so stretched in defense at all times. Another one where 2 of them are going towards the ball. Not sure how much boost they've got. They're all pretty low, about 60 between them. They're camped on their goal line. Chicago now's trying to pop it in. Typical can only get it as far as Atomic is still not in. Typical with an all-important touch, and it remains 0-0.
And for FaZe, they can once again prove just how good their goal line defense is. A reminder once again, G2's goals have mostly happened when FaZe haven't had somebody back. When FaZe have got somebody, it is a brick wall that you have got to try and get through just to get the shot on target. There's Atomic, goes long with his shot. First Killer gets it back under his own control. No goals, just over 2 minutes left here. Typical. Straight back over to JNaps. Not the greatest half volley off the wall, but he does have Chicago. Off that backboard, how's that bounce? Difficult to read. Well, for everybody except for First Killer, who is powering down the field. Looks for the set. Shot. Doesn't have anything on it.
First Killer is just ridiculous, though. Whenever he gets the ball, G2 absolutely panic. Every touch he makes is so precise. The dribbles, it always leads, not just to a clean dunk, a beautiful 50-50 win that goes all the way back to the G2 half. Pulling the strings completely, and also I'd say as a word of warning for G2, I've seen a lot more from AJ. And here comes Chicago. Can he get the flick? First Killer almost saves it, but Chicago buries it.
When you've got goal line defense like this, you need something perfect to get past it. And Chicago, that's about as good as you're going to get. Just keep it as far away as you possibly can and get that 1-goal lead. G2 once again taking that first goal, but it's never been that simple. We'll see what the final 90 seconds have got in store for us.
G2, will they try and slow down to defend what they've got? You can't imagine it. They'll always be looking to extend their lead. Can they get... It was actually 13 game wins in a row in the last one, so can they get their 14th game win in a row if they can see this one away for the next 70 seconds or so?
It is a ridiculous stat, that one. And one that is just getting more ridiculous every 5 minutes that pass. First Killer looks to pop the ball up. Atomic called off. Good communication there by G2. Almost managed to get past First Killer. But did well to read the play. AJ reset over to First Killer off the backboard. Please. Can he get it again? No, and it was a demo on the third man. Meant that we couldn't get the follow-up shot from Typical. who is now all the way back. And has to try and deal with this. There's Atomic off the backboard once more time. Looking for the set. First killer.
Nice.
Huge flick. Also, JNAP's play defensive.
FaZe have so many moments where you're just willing the ball to go in because it would look so pretty. This could be another one, slightly more team plays coming in now from FaZe, but still they can't break through G2's defense. So strong, apart from a couple of moments in that second game, which they still managed to win. And it's 20 seconds left for FaZe now.
Well, we've seen this every single game. The last few moments, FaZe chasing the game. Once again, they've got to do it from their own side of the field. Typical, beat to it by JNAPs. It's a bit more of a friendly bounce. Chicago on target. This is the best way to play defense. Don't even let them see your side of the field. AJ's going to grab hold of it. Good holding midfield play there by Atomic. He's going to guide the ball gently to the floor. And G2 are 5 minutes away from a sweep.
It's just brilliance at the end there from Atomic. He barely had any boost, and still he manages to kill that ball, Shogi. So fast thinking at 0 seconds. And speaking of fast thinking, there'll be a lot of thinking to be done because we are about to have, unsurprisingly, a FaZe Clan timeout.
So here's my question for you, Cole. Is this too late? Should this have been done 5 minutes ago?
Should it? Yes. I'm just looking back at, the results from different games to remind myself. Yeah, the fact that second game, they came so close to bringing it back and still found a way to lose. I don't care how good your team dynamic is. That is tilting. When you basically get gifted 2 goals to make it 2-2 and still can't find a way to see it away. And then in game 3, G2 Esports, FaZe look like they are capable of scoring, but that it would always take a wonder goal. They have to do something incredible. First killer has to do something that nobody else can do. And from FaZe Clan, I just want to see a few more normal goals. I want to see an infield pass that's boomed in. I want to see some ugly goals that aren't gifted to them by G2 Esports, but that feel more earned because they've got bumps or they've got boost steals.
Well, that's
not really happening
for me right now, is going back to that second game where G2, they wobbled. They wobbled quite significantly towards the end of that. And when that happened, we ended up just looking at this, all right, next goal, if this goes over FaZe's way, this could be a very, very different series. But instead, it went over to the side of G2, and we saw just how good they were in the previous game. They looked good. They got that goal. It was solid play, actually, from both teams. But G2 showed the defense that we expected to see them, the one that we were hyping up to you guys at home before they came in and just sort of infield passed their way to a 2 each in game 2. But we'll see. See what they can do over on FaZe. They've asked a lot of themselves here, Cole. But hey, what's a third reverse sweep in 2 weeks?
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up, Shogun, because it hadn't been done in such a long time. I don't think it had ever been done in North America until that fateful day.
I didn't believe it either because I had to check it. I was like, what do you mean since we went to the new format?
My camera's frozen.
Oh.
Yeah, I've gone.
Oh, usually when we see that on my side, it means my computer's crashed. So at least you're still here with me.
I'm sorry that I scared you there, Shogun. Well, hopefully the people can still hear me, or else you're just giggling at nothing.
Trust me, I would never make up anything that you have said to everybody at home. But yeah, we'll see what FaZe have now got. They've got themselves 4 games in a row that they need to go and get the win on. They have the tools there, I believe, and you've mentioned it so many times. Yeah, okay, they've just confirmed, by the way, Cole is still on to us. But FaZe, as you mentioned, their setup play has been brilliant. They are getting spaces. How many times are we seeing that ball pop off the backboard with nobody there to meet it from G2? It's just somehow FaZe need to either get the boost control or figure out some way of bringing in the extra player, the third man, to just jump on in and take the shot. And it's just not there for them at the moment. So we'll be looking to see what they can do there.
They need something quite special, and they need it to start pretty darn quickly. G2 Esports now, the difference that they have from classic G2 is that you expect them to be able to, you don't expect them to be able to see a best of 7 away, but to do it comfortably, to not give their fans those jitters, to not terrify people into thinking they're going to mess this one up. They just look supreme. It's a good save early on from AJ, but just again, the early pressure from G2 is such a good sign for them.
Yes, this is what we talked about when we first came into this series. It always felt like even if G2 started to do well, those of us on the desk, even the fans of G2 were just waiting for the but that would come after that sense. Like, G2 are playing well, but they still somehow found a way to lose. And that just has not been the case lately. Can they maintain that level of confidence that everybody seems to now have in them?
I mean, I'd love to see this comeback, Shogun. You mentioned the reverse. Oh,
AJ, there you are. It's a goal secure.
Yeah, I mean, what a steal that is. AJ was thinking, is this one actually going in? Perhaps. I've done all the hard work. I've aerialed. I've bumped Atomic away as well. I'll steal the goal too. Why not?
Well, AJ is the one that gets the credit for it, but what is most important is now FaZe have picked up the first goal for the first time this series. It's going to be G2. I've now been tasked with trying to find the comeback. Plenty of time for it, so don't expect to see too much change. Although first killer, beautiful pass, better shot, 2-0.
We have ourselves some standard FaZe Clan goals. That is exactly what I asked for. And look at that, just simple as you like from AJ towards first killer, who just has to roll the ball in the net. And the difference between these ones and the goals in that second game is that G2 didn't gift those to FaZe Clan. It was just a lovely pass at the right moment, even though it was simple.
Maybe the one thing that we have missed here from FaZe is just a little bit of play in front of the ball. G2 have been very happy to do that, looking for goalkeepers, trying to make themselves available for something in the midfield, but FaZe either not looking for it or not finding success with it. This is where they've been more used to finding opportunities, and AJ's got his second.
Shogun, sometimes I think that you are a genius. Look at that, first killer in front of the ball. See you later, Chicago. And AJ could attempt that aerial 307 times in a row and only miss once. And that was not one of those times.
I mean, when you look at the skill set that they have got over on FaZe, it just makes sense. Air dribbles are not the quickest plays in the world. You know, if you pass it infield, you know that the shot you're going to get is very quick. But you go for the air dribble, get a couple of flip resets, it's not quick, and it leaves a static defender a good target to just go and hit. Get rid of him. He's got to stay still. He's got to wait for this ball to come over to him. So just go and get rid of them. And FaZe, it's something that we hope to see more and more from them as they develop as a squad.
Yeah. Knowing what to do.
So useful.
When one of their teammates is doing the solo play, which is what we saw a beautiful example of right now. You know, this is the FaZe that we want to see. They've got the fancy stuff in their locker. They can bring it out, but just taking things a bit more simple, not leaving themselves too isolated. But as I say, that AJ was exactly that, and Atomic almost connected with that double tap aerial, just showing that G2 still have signs of life in this one. I think the best news you can give for G2 in Game 4 is that they conceded those goals so early. There's still more than half the game left, and they are more than capable of scoring 3 in that time.
Yeah, certainly so. Would not be the best sight of how FaZe's defense is doing. Well, it's all up to G2 to try and find those plays. That's a good start. Sipical left in a tough position. Chicago, that's 1. 2 more to go.
Told you, there's still plenty of time, and we've barely scratched halfway down in this game. It was a brilliant challenge there from Atomic to roll it along for Chicago, who is not going to make any mistakes from there in bringing G2 right back in this one.
Good kickoff, though, from FaZe. Get it right into the corner, although AJ has given a little bit of a sight there to G2. Controlling it in midfield. Now JNaps off the ceiling. In comes Atomic. Oh. That needed to be top corner. It's a wasted chance.
Yeah, it was probably going to be saved with 3 FaZe Clan goalkeepers standing there on the goal line. But it would have caused them some damage. Instead, it was missed. Down the other end, it's a solo goal from First Killer. How does he always get so many touches on the ball? G2 are petrified of the man. Everybody is. He commands so much respect, Shogun, that he gets more time than anybody else. And goodness me, can he use it.
Look, we've seen what First Killer can do when he has to save at a stretch, and he can still control the ball afterwards. That's going to probably be the 5th. Yes, it is. When you give, and this goes all the way back to that shot from Atomic, when you give a shot like that, it means that not only are you giving up a goal-scoring opportunity, you're giving an easy bounce off the backboard, and more importantly, an easy bounce off the floor. First Killer's going to look at it and just go, this is the perfect setup for me, where I can take the ball and do whatever I want. So these shots need to be better, not just to have a better chance of scoring, but to not deal with the transition play of First Killer.
I mean, I think what you're forgetting, Shogun, is that every ball is a perfect setup for First Killer. It doesn't matter how awkward it is. It doesn't matter if you're in ping-pong mode. He'll still catch it on his hood, get a flip reset.
The way it reminds me, Cole, is we've done the freestyle tournaments this season.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes into those setups.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes you see the players, they hit the ball and go, not that one. Okay, I'm going to do something else. He just wouldn't look. He'd close his eyes, hit the ball somewhere, and go, that'll work. I'll go and make something of this.
It's instinct. He is connected in to the Matrix. He just knows exactly what is happening at any given time, staring at lines of code on his screens. I was about to say, a sudden G2 goal might just make this game feel slightly alive, but Atomic fluffed his flick, and it is looking like FaZe are going to see this one out pretty much easily. And, I mean, I feel like I cursed G2 earlier on Shogun. I said, you don't expect them to wobble. If you're a fan of G2, you're completely confident they'll see this one away comfortably. I was wrong.
But they're going for the G2 special, all right? They can never have too much confidence. They've got to do something. As this is going to be, from the looks of things, an end to their game-winning streak.
Oh, yeah. We hit 15, I think? 14?
I believe so.
Wow, 15.
They did very, very well.
you take that. You know, at any given moment, you take a 15 game streak.
Yeah.
I'd take that in Bronze 2 ranked, pal. I'm not Bronze 2 for the record. I'm Bronze 1.
Right up there, Cole. Right up there. Been seeing you playing the games of Gibbs.
Any more goals this game? I'm fancying one more FaZe Clan stunner. I'm feeling AJ.
By the way, Direct has got a shout to us. 14 was the longest streak in North America this season.
Wow.
So if they have got 15, then it is a new season-long record.
No. I think you've misread. They hit 14, and now he's checking if it's the longest streak of games in North America this season. That's all right. I'll be your, your proofreader.
Yeah, well, one thing I don't need to check here is who's won this one. FaZe Clan have smashed their way through Game 4. I'm going to do this 3 more times. The only question this really levels up to everybody here is, does this show us something about how G2 play from behind? And more importantly, can FaZe keep getting that first goal? Because that was the first time they managed it, and we saw how wide open this game ended up being for them.
I don't think you can call into question how G2 play from behind based on that one game. The data is not quite there yet to say that it's a thing. If it happens again in the next game, then sure, you'll be able to say, right, G2 have definitely got a thing with going, oh, I look good, by the way. I've never looked so good on the RLCS podcast. Look at me go. Everyone in chat's like, wow.
You're pale, mate, but wow.
I'm talking about it's my lighting, this white background. Yeah, I don't think we can say too much right now. If the same happens again on Wasteland, then we'll just start to question the team comms, what's happening if FaZe Clan take the lead. But I can't see a collapse like that happening again. Famous last words.
We'll certainly find out. Here we go. Over to Wasteland. And there's that first goal. Okay, Cole, we're going to get an answer to our question.
We are indeed, yeah. 5 seconds gone. First killer just beating Atomic, all ends up for pace, and Typical has himself a simple... Look at that, he didn't even hit it with the nose of his car. He's just flopped it in. That is how simple it is for FaZe Clan. I like simple FaZe Clan Shogun. I think that it works well on them.
I like it when they mix it in. You know what First Killer is capable of. You know what all of these players are capable of. They are insane mechanically. And when they just go for pace, they threaten mechanics and they go for pace. It is horrible to try and deal with. There's a good demo as well. More and more car hunting over by FaZe Clan. It's getting them so much more time on the ball, so much more space in the opposing side of the field, although they're going to have to deal with this. JNaps couldn't get it past Typical, though Chicago, his shot as Typical, when AJ actually had to just avoid being demoed. Heads up play from him, but he needed help.
Lovely play there from Atomic to slow the ball down for a split second, making sure that G2 aren't rushing into things. That was their downfall in that first game. They went a couple of goals down early, and they were like, quick, fix this. Whereas now they're slowing things up, taking their time, knowing there's only one goal in it and not panicking. And I'm impressed to see that from them, especially after, of course, that last game's collapse.
It's a scrappy way to try and find their way out. FaZe still under pressure. G2 wanted to maybe make use of JNaps over on the backboard. Instead, it's Typical against Atomic. And of all the things that Typical could have done, I think Atomic will be happy that that was what he saw. Typical, as always, one of the trickiest players out there to try and read. First killer. Keeps the pressure on. JNaps at full stretch just to get rid of the ball. Back to Atomic, straight to Chicago. All 3 players involved. And that's how G2 get rid of the pressure. And now they're starting to create their own.
Yeah, they are. They're starting to steal the boost as well. Starting to keep that ball camped on the FaZe Clan half. And this is more like the sort of shape we were seeing at the start of this series.
Another bump, though. Horrible.
Yeah, FaZe Clan are just making themselves difficult to play against despite this. G2 are having more control of the ball, but FaZe Clan are making sure that if they are to get themselves a goal, there is nothing going against them for free. And now when they do get some control of it, I mean, that flick didn't quite work out. Chicago defended it well, but they can do so much when they finally get the ball under their spell.
We did see where First Killer was positioned. You didn't get involved in that play, but I like that more. Leave First Killer, leave anybody around, just be a threat. Don't let your opponents just hold on to ball cam the entire time. Make the check for you.
I mean, there have been a few occasions now from G2 as the seconds are just starting to tick by where I want to see that second man move forward just a little bit more. They've managed to get the ball to roll across the goal line. You know, they've managed to put a decent pass in, and no one has been there. And eventually, FaZe Clan will punish you if you're not taking the game to them. So while I'm glad G2 have steadied the ship.
Criticisms we had for FaZe in the opening parts of this series, it's starting to switch sides, although FaZe caught out too far forward, and the infield pass is good enough for G2.
That's why I'm not a coach, Shogun. I was saying that they had to make things happen a little bit more, but they were completely correct. Just keep your patience, let FaZe play into your trap, and eventually they will give you a free goal. Genius tactics there from the G2 camp to make it 1-1.
There's the answer to our question as well as to how G2 play from behind. They were under a lot of pressure. They have done well, kept the goal at only one. They might have to do it again. Chicago, perfect positioning, keeps it away, and then a monstrous block. All on the opposite side of the field.
That's weak there from
camping
Typical.
In that midfield.
Yeah, that clearance from Typical not quite good enough, and it's going to let G2 in again. JNaps tries to get the dunk. The First Killer's clearance just about avoids him. Then a demo opens things up. First Killer is desperate for Atomic to miss this ball. Isn't on this occasion, but Typical, he's been made to allow to hit the ball. It's put to the side.
2v1. Good play by First Killer.
There.
Yeah, they had the options. First Killer just tried to play as proactive as possible. Did not want to be heading back to his own goal where that spare play could just come and hit him. Very well played just to keep the pace going. Off the backboard, JNaps looking for Chicago. Can't get there though. First Killer is becoming more and more proactive as this goes along. He wants to be the one to take this series by the scruff of the neck.
Double commits over there won't help though. Just when FaZe Clan are starting to wrestle back the initiative, both players going for the ball on that side wall just completely puts them both in the same place in the field, giving G2 so many pockets of pace to play to. And look, it's meant that FaZe Clan are suddenly right back on the back foot and G2 come forward again.
If there's anything that we know G2 can do in this series, it is a very quick transition play. Not want to be caught too far forward against these lads. JNaps would have liked that to be further left. Could have got it to Atomic. Instead, not able to hold midfield. It's now FaZe's opportunity. AJ staring down JNaps, wants to see where this one's going. Right back down the line. Pass isn't good enough. First Killer pops the ball onwards. AJ already up. As Atomic tried to wait for it, couldn't get there in time. First Killer, infield, Typical, backs down, realizes that play was not for him. Otherwise, he would have been intercepted, and his team would have been in really rough shape.
In a long series, there's always one grindy game, and this is it. The passes haven't quite been there. The mechanics aren't working out. This is just both teams trying to be as solid as possible and try and surprise their opponent. I can see this one being an ugly goal to win it. With 15 seconds left, it could be G2's last goal in the series. Here's Chicago. He wants to end it here, but Typical saves, and nobody is following up.
And AJ was just stood there watching it for so long. He was so happy that the shot didn't come in earlier. It got away, but only temporarily. That's Chicago, but more importantly, First Killer is big enough to make sure the shot doesn't go in.
Game 5 springs to life right before the overtime, setting it up nicely. Can G2 end this here and give their first seed credentials a massive shot on the arm, or will FaZe keep them penned back?
Chicago, right over to Typical. Good first play. He's actually managed to keep himself on the ball as well. 2 players down just for Typical. Gets the 100 boost. Fantastic play from the former SSG member. AJ, good first touch. Second touch, reset secured, underneath. Couldn't just be tricky enough. But there's now pace and there's space there. Oh wait, JNaps, he fakes him out. Up goes Atomic, the worst possible bounce though for Atomic. It just skirted over the top of the goal.
First Killer was in such a horrible position there, and he did everything he could to put that one safe. It was still a little bit dodgy, but it was actually really decent defending once he found himself in that position. But G2 just keep on coming forward. Another save by Typical is needed. Atomic rotates out to let Chicago in. G2 can sense this goal coming, Shogun.
G2 had brilliant boost control that entire time. Cheers the back down. As here we go, Chicago once again goes under. First one there is JNaps off the bomb. What a setup and what a way way to win it.
Just mixing up the pace. G2 sense their moment. Chicago keeps himself unpredictable. And First Killer can't do anything about that JNAP's finish.